Good day, everyone. I have a question for you. Is your way in your way? Think about it. Is your way in your way? I know many of you who are listening had to think about that question. Is my way in my way? And then there's several of you that says absolutely. And then there are a few that says not really. I don't think so. Well, I had an epiphany one day. And this helped me realize that I have been in my way numerous amount of times. And if I were not in my way, I think that I would have been far along than I am. Not that I regret that now, but I'm realizing it based on this epiphany that occurred. And let me share this with you. Let me share where the journey began, so to speak. I used to be a frequent traveler. I travel probably 90% of the time by airplane, okay, for about nine or 10 years or maybe longer. And I share that with you because I want you to understand the experiences I've had while at the airport. I have seen it all, the bad, the good, and the ugly. Man, the airport actually used to be my office. I'd go there and get my work done, know what I need to do before my flight leaves because I made sure that I was there in time enough because I know me. And I don't want to be rushed and overwhelmed because I can't get through the TSA and all of that. But anyway, I have been on the tarmac for hours, not just one time, now several times. My luggage has been lost. My people have just gone crazy. I've seen them curse agents out. I've seen them curse each other out. I've seen um, people that it's just unbelievable because I tell you, one of the favorite things of my travel were the people. I met so many people. There was so many people that I don't know. I must have had this face or this aura that you come to me and come to me and tell me all your troubles, and I can help you resolve them. Right. So there were individuals that would share with me their life story. I've had people crying. I've had people laughing. I've had people that ask me to pray for them. I've had, oh my gosh, so many things that's happened. Um, People that's asked my opinion about things. It's just been a gamut of things, right? So imagine this going on for years and years. So I just had this, I was sensitive, I guess, to people. I could read them, so to speak, because I don't know, because I've spent time with them and been in the airport. I know the routine and all of those things. Well, one particular flight that I had, I went to, it was at the Reagan Washington National Airport. This is before the airport had been remodeled, so to speak, revamped and gutted out, and they added things to it, made it more modernized. But anyway, so while there, my flight left about 5:30, so I was there early. And I went to my gate. This is something I do. I don't check. I didn't check luggage in. I stopped doing that only because I've had my luggage missing multiple times, or not just missing, but it didn't get on that particular plane, and I got it the next day, and I just didn't want to take that chance anymore. So that's why I made the decision that I'm not going to check any luggage anymore. Anyway, I went to my gate. First of all, when I get to the airport, I look for my flight number, look at the status. Looked at the status, and it was going to be delayed. So what I did was I went to get something to eat because that way, when I got back home, which I was flying out of DC, going back to Chicago where I used to live, and that way, once I got home, I could just chill out. It was on a Friday. I was looking forward to it, and just to go home and just relax. Don't have to get anything to eat. All that would be done. So after I ate, I went back. I went back to the gate and I looked again and it was delayed again. And I was like, that's interesting. And so, I kindly sat down and just kind of roamed the airport like people watching for a bit. And then I started reading, and then another announcement came that the flight was delayed again because of weather. Of course, I looked outside, like, and then I noticed, knowing where I was going, I'm like, I didn't hear about any weather between here and Chicago, but what do I know, right? And so I sat there again, did some reading, talked to a couple people, and then another announcement came, said the flight was delayed. And they said it was delayed because they had mechanical difficulties. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, all right, so another hour, this is an hour and a half. We're, we're waiting. Then about another hour, now it's probably about 7:30 going on 8 o'clock. The flight was delayed because they had mechanical difficulties. And I said to myself, now this is interesting. It was delayed a couple times. It never told us the reason. Then it was delayed again because of weather. Now it's delayed again because of mechanical difficulties. Like, okay. I wonder is this going to be bad or ugly? Because it wasn't going to be good because it wasn't good at that time anyway. And so I sat there again and I was getting cold. And I looked around and boy, guess what I saw? I saw mice. The mice were running around the airport like they were the passengers, and I'm so afraid of them. I put my feet on my chair, I put my luggage on the chair, and I just watched them. And I was like, oh my gosh. So in the meantime, there was another announcement. The other announcement was they were unable to repair the flight, but what they're going to do is get another plane. People had a sigh of relief. Okay, so we're going to get another plane. I'm like, now this is going to make it ugly to myself. Now let me see this. So, I sat there a while, and that's probably about the fourth or fifth time something was wrong. It was delayed another hour and a half. Then we had another announcement, and the agent said, the flight has been canceled. Oh my gosh, why did she say that? Mm, 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 mm. It was so chaotic in that place. I just knew a cop or somebody was coming to put order to chaos. I mean, it was crazy. I've never seen now. I've been traveling forever, but I've never seen a bunch of people. I mean, a lot of people just upset, crying. Somebody was on oxygen. People were turning red. They were cussing at the agents. And I looked, and one of the agents was slowly putting on her coat, and she bent underneath to pull out, I guess, her purse, and she kindly walked away because her shift was over, I was assuming. And boy, did she look relieved. She got out of that place. And it got worse. And those two little agents, I looked at them and they looked like, what, I can't do anything because they're hollering and screaming and I don't know what to do next. So I sat there a little while, and all of a sudden, it was like I had an out of body experience. I got out of my seat, went over to the agents and asked them several questions. Questions such as, what's the recovery when this happens? Do you all have hotels that they can go to? Is there any place here where people can eat? They've not, a lot of people have not eaten yet. It's 10 o'clock. I think it was around 10ish. Do you have any flights going out tomorrow? Can some people get on those flights? Do you have an early morning flight? Just several things that I asked that I knew was in their heart and they needed to know because they didn't know what to do. I also checked the hotels that were in the area to make sure that they had availability because it would be terrible for them to go to the hotel and they don't have no rooms available. So once I found out all that information, what I did was I asked her, could I have her mic? And I took her mic and I asked questions. And first of all, I asked everyone to please be quiet because I had an announcement to make. And in order for them to hear what these announcements were, they needed to be quiet. So based on what I found out and what they needed, or not necessarily what they needed, but what's the next step, so to speak, because there were no more flights, so nobody was going anywhere. So I told them to get in their perspective line based on if they wanted a hotel. And unfortunately, there was no food at the airport. Everything had closed. Um, Also talked about they had flights leaving tomorrow. Anybody wanted to leave in the earliest flight in the morning. Da 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 da. So I shared that information, and it was you could hear a pin drop. And they got in their designated lines, their respective lines, and so the agents were able to take care of them. And I slowly went back to my seat. I actually tiptoed. This is the thing. I tiptoed to my seat because I was embarrassed. And I said to myself, what in the world did you do? That it was none of your business. Who do you think you are? And I said, I don't know. I don't know what made me do that. I am so embarrassed. I don't know what to do. But yet, I was able to help the agents, and I was able to help the passengers because that was just something I knew to do. I could put things in order. However, I wouldn't have done it in a place where I'm not even responsible for. And if I was in a position where I was doing my own work, I wouldn't have a problem with that. So I sat down, and this guy came over to me, and he said, what you did was amazing. And I was like, okay, all right. In the meantime, I'm thinking about you. You crazy? What is wrong with you? Who do you think you are? I just went on and on and on. And it was just that negative self-talk. Like, it was just so weird. So, but I sat there and said to myself again, what was that about? And then I heard this voice, this like a faint voice said, if you would get out of your way, just imagine what you could accomplish. And I thought about that thing. And I'm like, if I got out of my way, what does that mean? All that self-sabotage, imposter syndrome, procrastination, fear, all of those things, all of those roadblocks that prevented me from start living my best life on my terms. There were certain things that I wanted to do, like for one, to write a book. So anyway, I waited till everybody had been taken care of. I went to my room, and it was late. I think it was 2 o'clock. I was exhausted. Before I left, the agent gave me a ticket for the next morning, and I was thankful for that. So the next morning, I went back to the airport, and I saw several people that I had helped. And do you know they clapped for me? And I was like, oh my gosh, oh, wow. And so once I got on the plane, I started thinking about the things and goals and things that I wanted to do, but I hadn't done them, right? I hadn't done anything. And so I thought about that. So that was the epiphany that I had. Like I always wanted to write a book, and I'm like, well, what's taking me so long to write a book? And I've always heard about stories that the richest place in the world was the graveyard because there were so many unmet dreams. I also thought about the Shawshank Redemption movie. I don't know if anybody's seen the Stephen King movie with Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins, and Tim Robbins used to say, Andy DeFreeze said, "Get busy living or get busy dying." And from that day, I'm like, I'm gonna get busy living because I'm not really living my best life, and I need to think about what would it take for me to start living my best life. And so that was my epiphany, and that's what started this Is Your Way in Your Way. So I have a question for you. Do you have a dream? Is there something you wanted to do? Do you want to get a promotion? Do you want to go back to school? Do you want to get out of a relationship that's not working for you? That's not in your best interest? Do you want to make more money? Do you want to retire early? Do you want to um, forgive somebody that you've been holding this grudge on? I mean, what is it? So think about what it is that you want to do. What's your dream? What's your goal? And start working towards it. Start taking action. Start writing things down that you need to write, that you need to do in order to accomplish this. I am on this mission. And you know, just so you know, 70% of people regret things in their life. And these are people getting that are older. Now, this is unbelievable. Wish they would have done this, wish they could have done that. And hey, it's over with as far as getting out of here with regrets. So please don't have any regrets. Do what it is that you feel that you ordained to do. Get rid of those self imposed barriers. You know, it's time to mitigate them so that you can start living your best life on your terms. Okay, so those are some things that I'd like for you to accomplish, like for you to do. And you'll see me again because I'm going to ask you and have you think about, have you done what you've been wanting to do? Or are you just sitting there waiting? So thank you for listening and bye for now.